Hey everyone, you know how AI is like the hot topic everyone's talking about?
Really is, yeah.
Well, the EU is actually making moves to like create actual LYS around it.
Yeah,
And it's a global first.
it is. Yeah, it's a big deal.
So we're really diving deep into this whole EU AI Act thing today.
Right. It's not just for tech people.
Yeah, trust me, this is for everyone. So,
It's a pretty big deal.
okay, so back up a sec. Why should I care about this? Like if I'm not, building robots or anything.
Well, because this act, it really has implications for pretty much everyone, you know? Like,
Right.
if you're a business and you're dealing with the EU, or you're a developer working on AI stuff,
Right.
or even just like browsing the web,
Yeah.
the AI Act could actually impact you.
Wow, really?
Think about it. The EU, they're kind of setting the standard here, and a lot of times the rest of the world, they kind of follow suit.
Okay, so you're saying that, like, by looking at this act, we're kind of getting a sneak peek into the future of AI, like, globally.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
The EU's main goal is to make sure AI benefits all of us, humanity.
Right.
And they're basically like laying down the law to make that happen.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued now.
Yeah.
So think of this deep dive as our, like, cheat sheet to the AI Act. What's in it, what it means for businesses, innovators, and, everyday people.
Right, yeah.
We're going beyond just the headlines and, like, really unpacking this thing.
We're going to explore how the act actually works, delve into the risk categories, and discuss the potential impact on AI's future.
Yeah, and we're going to try to do it without, getting bogged down in all that legal jargon.
Yeah, for sure.
Promise. Okay, so the EU AI Act, it's not like just one big, massive rule book, right?
You're right. It's more like a framework.
Okay.
It's designed to classify AI systems, based on their risk levels.
Okay, so like a sliding scale of totally cool to not a chance.
Yeah, you got it. On the no way end of things, we have what they call prohibited AI.
Prohibited AI.
Uh,
Okay, so like, what does that even mean?
so that category covers AI systems that are just like fundamentally unacceptable because of the threat they pose, like to safety, to
Right.
people's livelihoods, or even like fundamental rights.
Wow.
So that's the no-go zone.
Okay, give me an example. What kind of AI is so scary that the EU is like, nope, hard pass?
Okay, imagine like those social credit systems you see in like dystopian movies.
Like that Black Mirror episode?
Exactly. Where your every move is like tracked and scored.
Right, right.
And that score, it impacts everything, like your access to services, even your social standing.
Ugh, that whole social credit thing is definitely not the future I want to live in.
Right.
Like, hard pass.
Right. Thankfully, the EU agrees.
Okay, okay.
That kind of AI is a definite no-go under their act.
So it's not all like doom and gloom, right?
No, not at all. We also have what they call high-risk AI.
High risk. So this is AI that could super helpful, right?
Yeah.
But could also have like really bad consequences if something goes wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This category includes AI systems that could have a huge impact on things like, healthcare, the justice system,
Right.
or even employment.
Okay, yeah, I see why they'd want to like put some serious rules in place for that.
Right.
We're talking about things that could seriously impact people's lives.
Absolutely.
So if an AI is labeled high risk, what happens then? Do they like just scrap it completely?
Not necessarily. They've set up some pretty strict requirements for these systems.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
they focus on risk assessment, data quality, making sure there's human oversight, and being transparent.
So it's more like, okay, we get it, this AI has potential, but let's make sure we've got some safeguards in place just in case.
Precisely.
Okay, I like it.
For example, think about AI in healthcare, right?
Yeah.
Imagine a system that helps doctors diagnose things earlier
Okay,
or helps personalize treatments.
that's amazing. Sign me up.
Right, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
That same tech could be used to decide who gets approved for, say, a life-saving treatment
Oh, yeah.
or even an organ transplant.
Right, high stakes.
Exactly. So the EU is saying, hold on, we need to make sure the data is top-notch.
Right.
We can't have any biases in the system, especially when it's literally life or death.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So
Eh.
high stakes, high scrutiny.
Exactly.
This isn't just about making sure the AI works. It's about making sure it works fairly
Exactly.
and ethically for everyone.
You got it. And the really interesting thing is that the EU, they get that AI is constantly changing.
Right.
So in addition to those two categories, they also have others.
Oh, okay.
It's designed to be flexible,
I see.
so they can adapt as AI technology advances.
So they're saying Like, we don't have all the answers, which is actually kind of refreshing.
Right.
Like, they're leaving some wiggle room as things evolve.
It's a smart approach. And it kind of sets the stage for what I think is one of the most fascinating but also potentially challenging aspects of this whole act.
Okay, what's that?
It's their approach to what they call general purpose AI.
General purpose AI. That sounds intense.
It is a bit, yeah. Think of it like the Swiss Army knife of AI.
Okay.
These systems could be used for like almost anything,
Wow.
which makes them both really powerful
Right.
and incredibly difficult to regulate.
Because, like, it's hard to predict the impact of something that's used for so many different things.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
And that leads us to one of the biggest things this act tries to address.
What's that?
Systemic risk.
Systemic risk. So not just the risk to, like, one person, but to entire systems.
Precisely.
Wow, okay.
Like we're talking systems that could mess up whole societies.
Oh, wow. That sounds kind of scary.
It might sound kind of like a sci-fi movie, but just think about it.
Yeah.
What if there was like an AI-powered financial system
Okay.
and it made a bunch of bad decisions
Yeah.
that could trigger like a domino effect,
Oh.
a global market crash even?
Okay, yeah, now I'm a little nervous.
Right.
So how do you even start to regulate something with, like, that much potential for chaos?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
And the act doesn't pretend to have all the answers.
Okay.
Instead of trying to create a rule for every single scenario, it emphasizes something else.
Okay, what is it?
It says we need ongoing assessment, we need to adapt, and we need a real commitment to doing this responsibly.
Yeah.
Especially with this type of AI.
So it's more about, like, setting guidelines, right?
Yeah.
And encouraging people to be thoughtful about it than, like, trying to predict every possible outcome, which is impossible, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about acknowledging that there are unknowns.
Right.
And building in safeguards so humans are still in control,
Right. Right.
even as AI gets more powerful and more integrated into our lives.
Okay, that makes sense. Speaking of responsibility, this act doesn't just, like, target the big tech companies, right?
You're right. It actually outlines responsibilities across the board.
Okay.
The whole AI supply chain,
What does that mean?
from the people making these systems to the businesses using them in the real world.
Oh, okay.
Everybody's involved.
So it's like a chain of responsibility
Yeah,
where everyone has to do their part to make sure AI is used safely and ethically.
exactly.
I like that.
And it highlights something really important. Ethical AI. It's not just a tech issue.
Right.
It's a societal one.
We all have a part to play in this.
Right. Everyone needs to be aware and on board.
Yeah, for sure. Because
Yeah,
the consequences could affect all of us.
exactly. And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
The EU AI Act isn't just about, stopping bad things from happening.
Right.
It's about proactively creating a future where AI benefits everybody.
Which, like, now I'm realizing is a really, really big deal.
Yes.
But let's be real, rules are one thing.
Yeah.
Actually following them. So that's a whole other story, right?
Yeah.
So how is the EU planning on making sure that everyone involved with AI actually takes this seriously?
Well, that's where it gets interesting. The EU, they're not just, hoping for the best and letting companies self-regulate.
Right.
They've actually put together this, really comprehensive system
Right.
for oversight and enforcement.
Okay, so spill it. What happens if someone breaks the rules?
Right.
Are we talking like a slap on the wrist? Or are there, like, real consequences?
Oh, no, the AI Act, it's got teeth, for sure.
Okay.
Depending on how bad the violation is,
Right.
companies could be hit with some pretty hefty fines.
Yeah.
They could be forced to, completely shut down their AI systems.
Why?
They could even face legal action.
Okay, they're serious. So this isn't just a suggestion box.
Yeah.
They actually have ways to make sure companies follow the rules.
Exactly.
Okay, I like it.
And it's not just about, punishing the bad guys either,
Right.
It's about creating a level playing field so everyone knows the rules of the game and actually wants to play by them.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So everyone's operating on the same page.
This is really giving me a whole new perspective on AI. It's not just about the technology itself, right?
Right.
It's about the whole ecosystem.
Exactly.
The rules, the investments, all the ethical stuff. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
My brain's a little full right now.
It's a complex topic for sure.
Right. But that's what this deep dive is for.
Exactly.
To break it all down.
Step by step.
Exactly. And speaking of complex, there's something else we should probably talk about.
Okay, what's that?
How does this whole AI Act thing affect innovation?
Oh, that's a big one.
Right. Because on one hand, we obviously want to, encourage people to create new and beneficial AI.
You're right.
But on the other hand, we don't want to, stifle creativity, or slow down progress with too many rules.
Right. It's a real balancing act.
Right. So how does the EU actually walk that line, encouraging innovation, but also keeping things, under control?
Well, one way is by being super clear about the guidelines and standards.
Right.
When companies know what the rules are,
Yeah.
it can actually lead to more innovation.
Oh, interesting. So instead of companies like holding back because they're not sure what's allowed, they can actually focus on developing AI within those guidelines.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because they know where they stand.
Right. It's like, these are the boundaries. Now go be brilliant within them.
Yeah, precisely.
Okay, I like it.
It also encourages collaboration
Okay.
and knowledge sharing,
Right.
which can lead to some pretty cool solutions.
Yeah, because instead of every company just doing their own thing in isolation, they can actually learn from each other's wins and fails,
Exactly.
which ultimately benefits everyone.
Precisely. It's like a rising tide lifts all boats, right?
Exactly. And remember how we were talking about the EU actually putting money into AI research and development?
Yeah.
That seems pretty important too,
Hugely important.
because supporting the development of ethical AI from the get-go is just as crucial as regulating it after the fact.
Absolutely. By investing in research, the EU is basically saying, this is the kind of AI we want to see in the world.
Right. They're putting their money where their mouth is, which I respect.
Exactly. It's not just about saying no to the bad. It's about actively supporting the good.
I like that. So it's not just about restrictions and rules. It's also about actively trying to shape the direction of AI in a positive way.
Precisely. And that's what makes this whole thing so interesting. The AI Act, it's a big deal on its own, right?
Right.
But it's actually just one piece of a much bigger puzzle.
Oh, really? How so?
The EU, they're working on a bunch of initiatives,
Uh-huh.
data strategy, digital rights, all kinds of things related to technology.
So it's all connected.
Yeah, it's all part of a bigger vision
Oh, okay.
for a more, human-centered digital future.
That makes sense. So the AI Act isn't just some random law. It's actually part of a bigger plan.
Precisely.
Wow. It really feels like we're at this turning point.
I think so too.
The choices we make now about AI are going to have a huge impact down the road.
Absolutely. The future is being written right now, and the AI Act is a big part of that story.
Wow. Okay, so big picture time, I think.
Sounds good.
We've talked about all the details, the rules, the potential risks and benefits of the EU AI Act.
Right.
But what does it all actually mean for us for the future? What's the takeaway for everyone listening? So we really dug deep into this EU AI Act, huh?
Yeah, we covered a lot.
All those rules, the risks, the impact, all that good stuff.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. But now comes the real head scratcher, right? Where do we even go from here?
That's the question, isn't it? And it's not like a one-size-fits-all answer either. It's
Yeah.
something each of us has to think about,
Right.
This whole AI Act thing, it's a bold move by the EU for sure.
Yeah.
But it's just the first draft, really, of how we're going to handle AI going forward.
It's like we're standing at a crossroads, right?
Yeah.
And the path we choose now, it determines the whole direction AI takes.
Yeah, and it's not just up to, politicians and tech companies to figure this out either.
Okay, that's
It's
true.
on all of us.
So, regular people, we have a say in this too.
Absolutely. We have a responsibility to be part of this conversation, as individuals, as a society.
Because, the future of AI, it's not some set in stone thing, right?
Nope.
It's something we're actively creating every day.
Every single day with the decisions we make,
Right.
the tech we build.
And even just, the conversations we have about it.
Exactly. And that's what I find so, amazing about all of this,
Right.
that we have a choice, The AI Act, it's like this reminder
Yes.
that we have agency. We can actually shape AI to align with what we believe in.
Okay, so instead of just, reading headlines about AI,
Right.
we need to actually be, questioning things, challenging the status quo, and really engaging with these ideas.
Exactly. Ask yourself, what do you want AI to look like in your life, in
Yeah.
your community, in the world?
Okay, those are some big questions.
They are big questions.
But I guess I think they're, the right ones to be asking right now.
I agree.
This deep dive has definitely given me a lot to, process.
It's a lot to think about.
It is. And if anyone else out there is feeling that way too, that's great. Keep that curiosity going,
Digging, keep learning.
Don't be afraid to ask the tough questions, because the future of AI, it's a story that's still being written.
And we all have a hand in writing it.
Well said. Well, on that note, I think this has been an awesome deep dive.
Yeah, really insightful.
Thanks to everyone for joining us. And until next time, Keep those brains buzzing.